Back here on NFL Fantasy Live in our not crowded room, because some of these positional rooms are very crowded. You have to make a decision as to how you're going to approach them, how you're going to approach drafting them as well. So let's get started with an offense that we love, Rank, in the Miami Dolphins. These discussions have a porpoise.
Stop it, you.
Raheem Mostert is the RB25. Devon Achane is 11. Jalen Wright's the RB49. What are we doing?
Yeah, the price for Achane is a little too rich. Last season, again, when we were talking about the rookie running backs, this was a guy last season we were saying go out and get him. He has the ability. But right now I'm reversing field and going with Raheem Mostert because you're getting the best value there. And also, they've got a third running back who also factors into the mix. So for me, when I'm looking at the RB11 and where I've seen him go in drafts, I've been not willing to make that. I'm not willing to make that price work for me. So I would rather go with Raheem Mostert here because I think it's a better value, and I think we're giving up on him a little bit too quickly.
I agree with you on that, but I will also make the case for Achane and say this is a team that lost guards, and that's a really big deal when you throw the football as fast as Tua Tagovailoa does. So you're going to be running the football more often. Achane has a really explosive second step, so he's a guy who can get you those yak, just like Raheem Mostert. I actually think both of these guys are super valuable, so you kind of can't go wrong either way. And again, I cannot stress how hard it is to your guards matter, especially when you're throwing the ball so fast.
All right, so let's go to a room that's also very crowded. We've been trying to figure out all draft season. That's the Houston Texans wide receivers, Cynthia. Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell. How do you sort it?
Look at how close Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs are going. And Nico Collins just got paid, but he got paid to be the number one. It's just a clue that they showed us. Nick Caserio, he did not hold the cards too close to his chest on this one, right? Like, he kept them and showed us, we're playing the Michigan man. This is a guy who has the repertoire with C.J. Stroud already. He runs all the routes. I think Stephon Diggs is a nice additional piece. Same with Tank Dell. Love him. But really, I think wide receiver 13 for Nico Collins is too low for an offense that we expect to be playing in late January.
It's an incredible problem to have. I love Tank Dell. I've been a huge fan of his. Last year when I was working on Total Access with Steve Smith Sr., Tank Dell was the guy. He's like, you got to watch this guy coming out of SMU. He is going to be fantastic. And we saw it last year. We saw a lot of good things about Tank Dell. If I could guarantee myself that I could draft Tank Dell as the wide receiver 30, I would love to do that. But what I've found in my drafts, as I say this, and again, I posted a bunch of my lineups already on the social media, I keep ending up with Nico Collins because I cannot pass up on that value.
Telling you.
Because people still love Stephon Diggs and all that stuff. When he's there, you're like, I got to take him.
Yeah.
I got to take him. And if I get Tank Dell later and kind of
Great.
handcuff a receiver, I got to do that. But yeah, I've been firing in on both of them.
Yeah, paid like a number one, targeted like a number one last year. It feels clear. Nico Collins, the player you want on this offense. Let's go to a mystery box. Wide receiver in Buffalo. You talked about catching those fastballs from Josh Allen between Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel, Keon Coleman. What do we do?
They're all being drafted in the about same area, but I think it's going to be Shakir who gets the majority of the targets. We've seen that repertoire already form between the two of them. Keon Coleman, of course, a rookie, and Curtis Samuel, I guess, interesting player that's going to be different. But I just quickly ran the numbers about how these guys performed in 12 personnel, and I keep hammering this because they have two great tight ends, so they're probably going to be in this personnel a lot. And Shakir's the one who has the best upside in it. So that's why I think for 50, the return on investment is wonderful.
I do want to put out the caveat that if I'm looking at Bill's pass catchers, the one that I would love
not what the question is.
Well, no, I just
it says wide receiver.
I understand, but I need to put the information out there.
Perfect.
That if you have Josh Allen and you're trying to stack him with one of his pass catchers,
we know.
I would make it Dalton Kincaid. But Keon Coleman of this group would be who I choose. Again, when he was playing at Florida State, he showed that he's a fantastic football player. And then you go to the draft industrial complex, like, oh, what was his sport? What was his time running in his underwear? Oh, well, then I don't think he's good at football anymore. So he ends up being a tremendous value. He's like Cooper Kupp a couple of years ago, where he was fantastic until he ran one little 40, and everybody's like, he can't play anymore.
And he played at Michigan State, too, so he does know how to play in the cold. Sometimes people forget, catch it. Florida boys can't catch it. No, exactly. Michigan State. Cold there.
One team that went and got some speed from the South is the Kansas City Chiefs. They get Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy as well. And then Rashee Rice is coming back. What do you choose there?
I pick Rashee Rice. This one's I don't know. It could go any way because you know who's throwing the ball? Probably the best we'll see in our lifetime. But I'm looking at this opportunity here to get a piece of this action. And Rashee Rice already has, again, I'm going back to the old song and dance here. They have the rapport. They know the routes. They know the system. Andy Reid's systems aren't necessarily as easy as some of the other teams. And you know why? Because they keep getting better throughout the season because these teams are always playing late. So that's why I like Rashee Rice here. And especially now with Juju back, I think you'll have that additional space for all of these guys to work with.
I like Rashee Rice as a prospect and as a football player, but if I'm looking for the highest upside, I believe it's going to be Xavier Worthy.
Sure.
And I think a lot of the questions that we have about him, his frame, his pass catching ability, but for somebody who can turn a game around, I think it's Worthy, and I would just take the stab with him.
Who's going to give Patrick Mahomes single high, though?
Yeah.
Ain't nobody. Like, they're always going to be challenging it. That was my only, that's what I was thinking about with it, right? Like, are you ever going to let him get the Tyreek Hill looks?
No. That's a fair point.
The answer is probably not.
Probably not. But still, we're waiting for that one chance, and especially in best ball, he's the def.
Oh, for best ball, for sure.
Yeah. Again, aim high. Take shots on the player you think that has the best potential in these offenses, and if things sort out in the way that you want them to, well, then you got a heck of a value.